What if I told you the Jedi Council's biggest enemy wasn't Palpatine, wasn't the Sith, but themselves? Think you know which master caused the most damage? Think again. Today, we're ranking the 5 most destructive council members in galactic history. From canon to legends, the ones whose decisions shattered the order from within. Let's dive in. Number 5. Yoda. Starting our countdown in controversial manner, we have Yoda, the Grand Master himself. Look, I'm not here to bash Yoda. The guy was a legend. Powerful in the Force, wise beyond measure, dedicated to the light side. But leadership isn't just about personal virtue. It's about recognizing problems and fixing them before they destroy everything you've built. And Yoda had centuries to see the cracks forming in the Jedi Order, the increasing political entanglement with the Republic, the suppression of emotions leading to secret attachments, the growing disconnect between the Council and the galaxy they served. These weren't sudden problems that appeared overnight. They were systemic issues that developed over generations of Jedi leadership. And who was leading that entire time? Yoda. And here's what really cements his place at number 5. Yoda's approach to training created the very problems he feared most. Take Dooku, one of his most promising students. Instead of addressing Dooku's growing concerns about the Republic's corruption and the Order's complacency, Yoda dismissed them as dangerous thinking. Then there's Anakin. Yoda sensed the fear and anger in the boy from day one. But instead of providing the emotional guidance Anakin desperately needed, Yoda offered cryptic riddles about letting go of attachment.
Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Great wisdom there, Yoda, but terrible therapy. Even with Qui-Gon Jinn, Yoda never truly supported Jedi who saw beyond the Council's dogma. Same rigid codes, same emotional suppression, same political blindness. And when students like Dooku or Anakin showed signs of struggling with these restrictions, what was Yoda's solution? More restrictions, stricter adherence to the code, deeper suppression of natural human emotions. The result? A generation of Jedi who either fell to the dark side or were so emotionally stunted they couldn't recognize the Sith Lord sitting right in front of them for over a decade. He ranks at number 5 because his failures were systemic and spanned centuries, creating the very culture that made the Order's downfall inevitable. But what about masters whose actions directly enabled the enemy? Number 4. Kyp Durron. Coming in at number 4, we have Kyp Durron, from the expanded universe of Star Wars Legends, the Jedi Master who committed genocide and was rewarded with a council seat. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who is Kyp Durron? Okay, here's what happened. Kyp was a traumatized kid from the Outer Rim whose parents were killed by the Empire. He spent years as a slave in the spice mines of Kessel before becoming one of Luke's first students. Under the influence of the ancient Sith Lord Exar Kun, Kyp went on a rampage of revenge against Imperial targets. On a single day, Kyp fired resonance torpedoes from the Sun Crusher into the Karita system's sun, triggering a supernova that killed over 25 million beings. Men, women, children. An entire civilization wiped out in hours. And here's the most horrifying part. His own brother Szeth was in that system. Kyp realized what he'd done and desperately tried to rescue him, but it was too late. He watched his brother get disintegrated by the very supernova he had created. Now, you might think, okay, but he was being controlled by a Sith spirit, right? But here's what the apologists won't tell you. Corran Horn, another Jedi who witnessed these events, made a crucial observation. If Exar Kun truly controlled Kyp's mind, why didn't Kyp just kill Luke Skywalker? Kun certainly wanted Luke dead. Instead, Kyp only knocked Luke unconscious. When Kyp really didn't want to do something, like kill his mentor, he found a way not to do it. But when it came to murdering millions, suddenly the mind control was absolute. The truth is, Kyp wanted revenge. Exar Kun didn't plant that desire, he just amplified what was already there. And Luke Skywalker's response to this genocide? He brought Kyp back to the Academy, continued his training, and then put him on the new Jedi Council. That's right. A man who murdered 25 million people was given authority over the next generation of Jedi. Once a prodigy turned mass murderer, he somehow found redemption and a seat on the Jedi Council. But instead of bringing balance, he brought division. During the Yuuzhan Vong War, Kip rallied a faction of Jedi who rejected Luke's restraint approach to the Force. They called themselves the Radicals, and they waged their own private war, costing lives, trust, and the very unity that held the Order together. Every council session became a battlefield of ideology, Luke's patience versus Kip's fury. Even after the fighting ended, his influence lingered. He preached that peace came through strength, that hesitation was weakness, and younger Jedi listened. In trying to save the galaxy, Kip infected the Order with his own arrogance, and that's how the Jedi began to fall. Not from the dark side outside their walls, but from the one that had already taken root within them. Number 3. Ki-adi-mundi. At number 3, we have Mr. Mundi, the Jedi Master who had more opportunities to save the Order than anyone else, and chose to look the other way every single time. Mundi's crime wasn't incompetence. It was willful blindness in the face of overwhelming evidence. Let me paint you the pattern. During the events of the Acolyte, over a century before the Clone Wars, Mundi was consulted when the Sith the Stranger was discovered. Clear evidence of dark side activity, a chance to investigate and potentially uncover a larger conspiracy. His response? Do nothing, cover it up, pretend it never happened. Then, decades later, Qui-Gon Jinn comes before the Council claiming he encountered a Sith Lord on Tatooine. Physical evidence, lightsaber wounds, a clear pattern emerging. Mundi's response?
Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
When the clone army mysteriously appears, an army that nobody ordered, nobody paid for, created by people with known ties to separatists. What does Mundi do? He votes to use it anyway. You see the pattern here. Every single time the universe handed Mundi a clue about the Sith conspiracy, he chose ignorance. Not because he couldn't see the truth, but because acknowledging it would have been inconvenient. That's a long, long time to be that blind to the reality of the Sith. But his most damaging decision? The vote to exile Ahsoka Tano. When Ahsoka was framed for the temple bombing, Mundi was one of the first and most vocal council members to condemn her. Despite holes in the evidence, despite her years of loyal service, despite Anakin's desperate pleas. Think about what that moment meant to Anakin Skywalker. Here was his Padawan, someone he'd trained, fought beside, trusted with his life, being thrown away by the very institution he devoted his life to serving. And leading that charge was Ki-adi-mundi. He wasn't stupid, he wasn't incompetent. Ki-adi-mundi had spent decades on the Council, respected for his logic and insight. He knew better. That's what makes his failure so damning. Every time he looked away from the truth, it wasn't out of ignorance, it was out of choice. Ironically, he was one of the few Jedi Masters permitted to marry, with the Council's blessing. His species, the Syrians, suffered from a dangerously low birth rate and a severe gender imbalance. So the Council made a rare exception, allowing him to take multiple wives and have children for the sake of his people's survival. The hypocrisy is staggering. While Anakin Skywalker was forced to hide his love, living in fear of expulsion for simply caring about someone, Mundi openly maintained an entire family with the Order's approval. The same council that condemned attachment made special allowances when it suited them. Proof that their rules weren't about morality, but control. Mundi ranks at number 3 because his failures enabled every aspect of the Sith conspiracy. From the earliest cover-ups to the final betrayal, his fingerprints are on every disaster. But there's one master whose good intentions caused more damage than all the others combined. Number 2, Sifo Dyas. At number 2, the Jedi whose choices pretty much started the Clone Wars, Sifo Dyas. Now, this might surprise you. Sifo wasn't evil, he wasn't corrupt, he wasn't even particularly arrogant. He was a Jedi Master who saw disaster coming and tried to prevent it. And in doing so, he created the weapon that almost killed every Jedi in the galaxy. Here's what happened. Sifo Dyas had a rare gift, foresight. he saw the coming storm long before anyone else. A galactic war that would consume the Republic, and a Jedi Order hopelessly unprepared for it. So he acted. Using his authority as a Jedi Master, he secretly commissioned a clone army on Kamino, pulling strings through Jedi channels, funding it with Republic resources, all under the radar of the Council. He believed he was doing the right thing. He believed he was saving lives. But in trying to protect the galaxy, Sifo Dyas set its destruction in motion. The army meant to save the Jedi would become the weapon that destroyed them. Sounds heroic, right? A master who saw disaster coming and took action to prevent it. But here's where good intentions meet catastrophic consequences. He made one crucial mistake. He confided in his old friend, Count Dooku, shared his visions, explained his plan, asked for advice from someone he trusted. What Sifo Dyas didn't know was that Dooku had already fallen to the dark side, had already become Darth Tyrannus, was already working with Darth Sidious to orchestrate the very war that he was trying to prepare for. Think about the irony here. The Jedi Master who saw the future most clearly was blind to the darkness in his closest friend. The man who tried to save the Republic handed the Sith the perfect opportunity to destroy it. Because once Dooku knew about the clone army, everything changed. Dyas was killed by the Pike Syndicate, who were hired by you-know-who, his friend, Dooku, to shoot down his shuttle over the Obadiah moon. The Sith took control of the cloning operation, and every single clone that rolled off the production line came equipped with something special. Order 66, inhibitor chips, programmed loyalty to the Chancellor, the ability to turn the Republic's greatest defenders into its executioners at the flip of a switch. Even after he was dead, even after the Sith had clearly infiltrated the project, the Jedi Council still chose to use the clone army. They never investigated its origins, never questioned why an army appeared exactly when they needed it. Think about this for a second. You're a Jedi Master. Someone shows up with millions of soldiers, claiming a dead Jedi ordered them, funded by money you can't trace, created by aliens you've never heard of, and you immediately make them your personal army. Every Jedi who died during Order 66, from younglings in the temple to masters on distant battlefields, they all died because of a decision Sifo Dyas made with the best of intentions. He ranks at number 2 because his single decision had the most far-reaching consequences in galactic history. Not just the death of the Jedi Order, but decades of imperial tyranny, the destruction of Alderaan, the suffering of billions under Sith rule. But there's one master whose failures cut deeper than institutional blindness, deeper than systematic cover-ups, deeper than a century of willful ignorance. Because what's worse than a master who ignores the enemy? A master who creates one. Number 1, Mace Windu. And coming in at number 1 on our countdown of most damaging council members, Mace Windu. Now, I know this is going to be controversial. Mace Windu almost killed Palpatine. He saw through the Sith conspiracy. He was tactically brilliant and strategically sound. But here's the thing that makes him number 1 on this list. Mace Windu didn't just fail to prevent the rise of Darth Vader. He actively created him through every single decision he made regarding Anakin Skywalker. From day one, Windu saw the danger in Anakin, the fear, the anger, the potential for darkness. He was absolutely correct that Anakin posed a threat to the Order. But instead of addressing those issues with compassion and understanding, Mace chose suspicion and exclusion, denied him the rank of Master despite his obvious qualifications, excluded him from the mission to arrest Palpatine despite his unique connection to the Chancellor, treated Anakin like a potential enemy instead of a Jedi in need of guidance. The man doesn't even call him by his first name, just straight Skywalker, like he's a soldier under suspicion, not the chosen one standing beside him. And what did that approach accomplish? It created the very attachment issues and resentment that Mace was trying to prevent. But the moment that really sealed his place on this list was the confrontation in Palpatine's office. Anakin arrives to find Mace standing over a defeated Sidious, lightsaber raised for the killing blow. Anakin pleads for justice.
He must stand trial.
The legal, moral, Jedi way to handle the situation. And Mace's response?
He's too dangerous to be left alive.
I'm too weak.
In that moment, Mace Windu abandoned everything the Jedi Order stood for: due process, justice, the rule of law, the very principles that separated the Jedi from the Sith. And Anakin saw it, saw the hypocrisy, saw the fear, saw a Jedi Master choosing expedience over justice, power over principle. That's the moment Anakin Skywalker died and Darth Vader was born. And before Anakin ever fell, Mace had already failed another friend, Dooku. Years earlier, during the investigation of Jedi Master Catri's death on Raxus, Dooku was already voicing concerns about corruption in the Senate and hypocrisy within the Order. He saw that the Jedi were becoming political tools instead of guardians of peace. And what did Mace do? He followed procedure. He reported Dooku's actions to the Council. When they returned to Coruscant, Mace was rewarded with Catri's vacant council seat, the same position Dooku had long hoped to earn. Imagine that. Dooku exposes the truth, risks his reputation to challenge corruption, and Mace gets promoted for playing it safe. That single moment crystallized everything Dooku hated about the Jedi: loyalty to protocol over justice, to hierarchy over honesty. Mace could have stood by him, could have guided him, could have reminded the Council that conviction isn't corruption. That's why he's number one. Because his failure wasn't just tactical or strategic, it was personal. And personal failures, when you're dealing with someone as powerful as Anakin Skywalker, have galactic consequences. The Master of the Order became the architect of its destruction, not through weakness, but through strength applied in all the wrong ways. All because he tried to do the right thing and trusted the wrong person. So there you have it. The 5 Jedi Council members who caused the most damage to the galaxy. Number 5. Yoda. 800 years of leadership, chose stagnation over adaptation, made the same mistakes twice. Number 4. Kip Durron. Mass murderer who was rewarded with power, set the precedent that genocide could be forgiven. Number 3. Ki-adi-mundi. Willfully ignored every warning about the Sith conspiracy and enabled every aspect of the Order's downfall. Number 2. Sifo Dyas. With the best of intentions, created the weapon that killed almost every Jedi in the galaxy. Number 1. Mace Windu. Right about the threats, wrong about how to handle them. Created Darth Vader through rigid thinking. But here's the real revelation. This wasn't really about individual failures. The entire Jedi Council culture was designed to create these problems. They suppressed emotions, avoided politics, chose rigid doctrine over compassion. Every single disaster we've discussed today was predictable. The warning signs were there. The opportunities for course correction existed. But the Council's culture made them incapable of recognizing threats that didn't fit their preconceptions. The Jedi Order didn't fall because they were weak. They fell because their leaders chose comfort over vigilance, certainty over curiosity, and institutional pride over necessary change. So what do you think? Was Windu really the ultimate architect of the Jedi's destruction, or should someone else be at number 1? Drop your rankings in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more Star Wars lore and rankings. May the Force be with you, and thanks for watching.